Welcome to this deep dive. We're really aiming to cut through the noise today.
Sounds good.
We're tackling something that's, well, it's moving really fast from just a basic skill to, I guess, a sophisticated engineering discipline, prompt engineering.
Exactly. For large language models.
Right, and specifically, we want to talk about why structured prompt patterns are maybe the secret weapon for, expert users.
That's a great way to put it.
We're not just looking for slightly better outputs, are we? It's about getting predictable, nuanced, really context-rich results.
Precisely. A lot of users are still kind of fumbling around, trial and error, which works sometimes, but it's often inefficient.
Right.
So our focus today is shifting beyond that. We're looking at systematic methods, ways to really master these models.
Structured patterns are key to that.
Absolutely central, yeah.
It's pretty fascinating how this whole area pulls from so many different places. You've got computational linguistics.
Right, the precision there.
Cognitive science for the human side.
Understanding context and framing.
And then, of course, the machine learning underneath it all, the statistics.
It all converges right here in crafting these prompts.
Okay, so for listeners wanting to level up, let's get specific. What really makes these structured prompt patterns more effective than just asking a question in plain English?
Well, the big advantage is cutting down on ambiguity. That's the core issue.
Yeah, ambiguity. How so?
Think about the training data for these LLMs. It's enormous, but it's also incredibly diverse. So a simple, open-ended question can be interpreted in, countless ways.
Okay.
Structured patterns, they act like constraints. They guide the model, push it towards a specific frame of reference, a particular type of output you want.
So it's like giving it a template, a really clear brief.
Exactly. A template it can then fill in using the relevant information it have access to.
That makes a lot of sense. It's moving from just asking vaguely to providing, a detailed brief. And I can immediately see how that pays off in the real world, especially when, time matters, accuracy matters.
Oh, absolutely. Think about research, for example. You need consistent data extraction, right? Or specific kinds of analysis. Using reusable prompt patterns can drastically cut down the time you spend tweaking queries. And importantly, it makes the results more reliable.
So you're not constantly reinventing the prompt for every little variation.
Exactly. You have a solid framework you can adapt systematically. Saves a ton of effort.
So, okay, efficiency, consistency, huge pluses. But isn't there a risk? Some people might worry that too much structure could, kill the magic, that serendipity, those unexpected creative ideas you sometimes get.
That's a fair point. It really is. But I'd argue that well-designed structured prompts don't necessarily stifle creativity. They actually channel it.
Channel it? How?
By setting clear boundaries, the format, the scope, you can actually encourage the model to explore possibilities within that defined space. Possibilities it might have overlooked with a vaguer prompt.
Yeah.
It's kind of like constraints in art or design, right? Sometimes they force you to be more inventive, more focused.
Okay, I like that. The guardrails is a catalyst, not just a limitation. Let's dig into the linguistics side you mentioned. Computational linguistics. Can you give me a concrete example? How does knowing about language structure help write better prompts?
Sure. Let's think about verb choice. It matters a lot. Instead of something vague like, tell me about climate change effects.
Right, very open.
A more linguistically informed prompt might use verbs that demand specific actions, like analyze the causal relationships between rising global temperatures and coastal erosion.
Okay, analyze is specific.
Citing peer-reviewed studies. See, the verb analyze, the constraint causal relationships, the source requirement, peer-reviewed studies, it massively focuses the LLM's response generation process.
That's a really clear example. It's like you're using the structure of language itself to guide the AI. Now, what about the cognitive science angle? How does understanding human thinking help us prompt an AI better?
Well, cognitive science tells us how crucial context and framing are for human understanding. We process information based on how it's presented.
Right.
It turns out LLMs benefit from something similar. Prompts that give clear context, that frame the request effectively.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of just asking for, say, a summary of a long report, you could frame it by specifying who the summary is for and what they need from it. Like, summarize this research paper for a marketing team, highlighting implications for our upcoming campaign.
Okay. So you're setting the cognitive context for the model, tailoring it.
Exactly. You're anticipating the informational needs, the perspective needed, even though the reader is an AI.
Fascinating. And then there's the machine learning foundation. How do these carefully built prompts actually connect with how the models, work under the hood?
Right. So LLMs learn by finding statistical patterns in huge amounts of text and data.
Okay.
When you use a well-structured prompt, especially one that maybe mirrors common structures or formats found in that training data, think tables, lists, logical arguments, the model can process it more easily. It's like you're speaking its preferred dialect.
You're aligning with its training.
Precisely. And that alignment Makes it less likely the model will go off track, generate weird outputs, or make factual errors. It understands the shape of the expected answer.
This really drives home why prompt engineering is becoming so vital across different industries. It's not just about getting an answer anymore.
No, it's about getting the right answer, reliably, consistently.
And predictably.
And predictably, especially as these models move into more critical areas, healthcare, finance.
Yeah.
You absolutely need outputs you can trust. Prompt engineering gives you a layer of control and, importantly, interpretability.
And it must also be a key strategy for dealing with those known problems like hallucinations or bias, right?
Absolutely critical for that. Clear instructions, well-defined context within the prompt, these act as strong guardrails. They significantly reduce the chances of the LLM just making stuff up.
Hallucinating.
Or unintentionally reproducing biases from its training data. The more precise the input, the less room for error or unwanted behavior.
Okay, so putting it all together, these prompt patterns are basically systematic frameworks. They let us move past just randomly trying things.
Right, beyond ad hoc commands.
To a much more controlled, more effective way of working with these very powerful tools.
That sums it up perfectly. They're blueprints for interaction. And that ensures consistency, reproducibility, which is crucial in regulated fields, or when you're fine-tuning outputs for very specific niche applications.
You mentioned adaptability earlier, too. How do these patterns let one LLM wear so many different hats, adopt different personas?
It's about embedding role instructions and style guides within the pattern itself.
Ah, okay.
So a pattern for, say, legal analysis will stress precision, citing precedent. A pattern for creative writing might push for vivid language, narrative structure. You guide the model to act like a lawyer or a novelist or a helpful concierge, just through the prompt structure and content.
That's incredibly versatile. I can see applications in law, medicine, journalism, coding, everywhere.
Exactly. That's why it's such a powerful technique.
And it sounds like it would be a huge benefit for teams working together on AI projects.
Oh, definitely. Standardized prompt frameworks mean everyone's on the same page. You can share effective prompts easily, cross-check results, build on each other's work. It makes collaboration much smoother.
And ultimately, all of this, the structure, the context, the framing it, comes back to just getting better performance from the model itself.
Yes. Think of it like a focusing lens. A well-crafted prompt pattern directs the LLM's massive computational power and knowledge onto the most relevant parts for your specific task.
Cutting through the noise.
Cutting through the noise, exactly. Reducing irrelevant output. Increasing the chance of accurate, insightful results. It helps the model perform at its best for what you need it to do.
So the big takeaway here seems clear. Structured prompt patterns aren't just a nice-to-have. They're really foundational for anyone who wants to interact with LLMs at an expert level.
Couldn't agree more. It's moving from basic usage to genuine engineering.
So, for everyone listening, maybe think about your own work. How could you move beyond simple questions? What kinds of structures or patterns could unlock more reliable, deeper insights in your field using generative AI?
It's worth experimenting.
Definitely. And just one final thought to leave everyone with. We know these LLMs are evolving incredibly quickly. So how will these principles of prompt engineering, these structured approaches, need to adapt to keep pace? How do we maintain effective, nuanced communication with AI that's getting smarter all the time?
That's the big question going forward, isn't it? Constant learning and adaptation will be key.